please consider liking and subscribing. Now, we are here to discuss the Chiefs and the Bills coming up on Sunday in the divisional round of the playoffs. Now, if you ask me, this game is a game of revenge for both of these teams. The Bills, they want revenge for the AFC Championship game from last year, and the Chiefs, they want revenge for that stinker and disgusting game they put together in Week 5. Now, if we look at that Week 5 matchup, the Bills won 38-20. The Bills just absolutely torched the Chiefs secondary. Now, keep in mind, the Chiefs defense was nothing like it is now. Mahomes threw 2 interceptions. I believe he fumbled in that game. The Chiefs had 4 turnovers total in that game, and Mahomes in that game threw a pick 6. And as I mentioned, the Chiefs defense was bad. They had yet to sign Melvin Ingram. Chris Jones was still not playing in his natural position, and Daniel Sorensen was playing over Juan Thornhill at that time. So everything wrong with the Chiefs on defense, they've definitely fixed from that point. And in that game, you all remember Tyrann Mathieu throwing his hands up in the air whenever Sorensen just let, I think it was Dawson Knox at the time, just get wide open. And Dawson Knox absolutely torched the Chiefs in that game. 3 receptions, 117 yards and a touchdown. Like, Dawson Knox had a career game against the Chiefs in Week 5. And then obviously the Bills, they want revenge for the AFC Championship game from last year. Now, if you look at the performances from last week, both of these teams laid everything out on the table. Josh Allen was 21 of 25, 308 yards and 5 touchdowns. Mahomes last week against the Steelers was 30 of 39, 404 yards, 5 touchdowns. Now, Mahomes, I guess if you want to argue, had the worst performance of the two because Mahomes did start the game early off with the interception and then the Chiefs did fumble. But then the Chiefs, once they got things right, they basically did the same thing the Bills did, and they just kicked the ever-living crap out of their opponent. The Bills, they scored 7 straight touchdowns, while the Chiefs scored 6 straight touchdowns for themselves, and Mahomes did throw 5 touchdown passes in the fastest time in NFL history. He did it in like less than 11 minutes or a little under 12 minutes. So Mahomes had an absolutely insane game last week against the Steelers. Bills, Josh Allen, again, he had an absolute monster game against the Patriots last week. I think both of these teams, both the Chiefs and the Bills last week, they laid everything out on the table. Bills, they were letting out 20 years of frustration against the Patriots. I think that game earlier this season where the Bills were really bad against the Patriots and they lost, I think it was like 17-14 or whatever it was. It was the terrible weather game. Or it was 14-10, whatever it was. But yeah, the weather was terrible in that game. And I think the Bills were still hungry from that game. They did beat them earlier on this in their second matchup, but then the third matchup, the Bills they shit stomped the Patriots. They let out 20 years of everything, and Josh Allen played the game of his life against the Patriots. And then the Chiefs, again, that entire game for me in the Steelers game, I thought was a microcosm of the entire season. Stupid turnovers, couldn't move the ball, just really struggling on offense. And then people said that this was the 2019 Chiefs or whatever. I thought this was the most dangerous Chiefs. If we take that game alone against the Steelers, this was one of the most dangerous Chiefs performances ever because the defense was great and the offense, once it got rolling, could not be stopped. So both of these teams are coming in off of huge victories, just dominating their opponents. Now, head to head, I think this game is going to be completely different from last time. As I mentioned, the Chiefs defense was nothing like it was. The addition of Melvin Ingram and then benching Daniel Sorensen absolutely changed the entire defense for the Chiefs. Now, there is some injuries, obviously. Fenton injured. Kind of stinks because Mike Hughes did struggle against the Steelers. He was the only one to give up some points, and against the Bills, that, again, might be a problem. But at the same time, the Chiefs secondary, just the Chiefs defense as a whole, is definitely much, much better than it was in that Week 5 matchup. And then the Bills defense, obviously great. They made the Patriots look pedestrian, like JV level bad. So the Bills defense is very good. I think these defenses are both really, really good. And I think the Chiefs defense has definitely improved much more than that Week 5 matchup. And I think this Chiefs team has enough speed, especially a linebacker, to contain Josh Allen. I was seeing all over Twitter that Willie Gay needs to spy Josh Allen. I'm like, I don't care if it's Willie Gay or Nick Bolton. One of those two, those linebackers have speed, and they need to be covering Josh Allen, and that front four of the Chiefs definitely need to be getting as much pressure as they possibly can on Josh Allen, make him struggle, and then hopefully we can get a repeat of the AFC Championship game from last year. Chiefs offensively, No more slow starts. Like that seems to be a thing from this year, because the Chiefs offense, when it starts off slow, it really, it's weird seeing it take forever for the Chiefs offense to click and start going. But when it's going, it's going. Again, like I said, 404 yards for Mahomes, 5 touchdowns, and Jerick McKinnon, man, he is a guy that I think found a spot in the Chiefs offense. Like he's a running back that can run the ball. He ran for 61 yards, and I believe he had a really good day receiving last week. He had a very big number receiving. Like he was well over 100 total yards for himself against the Steelers last week. Now, obviously, it's the Steelers that was bad, and then you had the Bills, who just killed the best defense that they could possibly face all year in the Patriots defense. Even if the Patriots defense is average, you still know that Belichick's going to have their guys in the right spot. So the Bills win, and I hate to say this, was a little bit more impressive, but not much. Because I think this game, I think it's fair to say, I think the winner of the Chiefs and the Bills game this weekend in the divisional round, I think the winner of this game does go to the Super Bowl. I really do. I think these are two of the best remaining teams. And not only do I think the winner of this game goes to the Super Bowl, I think the winner of this game goes and wins the Super Bowl. I really, really do. Because Josh Allen, he's been up or down for me. If Josh Allen's having a slow day, the entire Bills team is having a slow day. The Chiefs, that their offense isn't really clicking. I mean, their defense was able to lift them at times this season, but when you're going up against Josh Allen, so if the offense of the Chiefs is having a rough day, you can only ask the defense to do so much before it gets out of hand and the Bills just, they do their thing, because the Bills are a very, very good football team. But I just think these two teams are the best two remaining teams in the playoffs, in my personal opinion. You look at the rest of these teams that are still in the playoffs: 49ers, Buccaneers, Bengals, Titans, the Packers too. I really do personally think that these are the two best teams remaining in these playoffs. I really do. They're very, very good. They have really good defenses. Both of these teams do. Like the Chiefs have one of the top defenses since that Melvin Ingram trade. So the Chiefs are a completely different team than they were in week 5 against the Bills, because as I said, Daniel Sorensen was an absolute liability for the Chiefs. Once they got that figured out, the Chiefs became a very, very unstoppable defense. Like their defense was amazing. After they benched Sorensen, were able to move Chris Jones back inside. So if Jones can able to generate some pressure, force Josh Allen into some mistakes, but they can't let Josh Allen use his legs. Josh Allen and his legs are absolutely dangerous. They are his legs and his arm. I personally think that Josh Allen is what people think Lamar Jackson is. Like, he can move with his legs and he can throw the football. Like, he is the all-around quarterback. And it's not he can run the ball, but later in his career, when you can't run the football anymore, he's going to still have that leg or the arm, and he's going to be able to be trouble for defenses with his arm late into his career. So Josh Allen right now is like the total package of a quarterback that you want. But Mahomes, you can't underestimate him either. He has some wheels on him. He is much faster than he looks like. He's a threat on third down when the play breaks down. Everybody's covering deep, all the Chiefs receivers. Having to deal with Kelsey and Hill, Jerick McKinnon, who's shown that he can be a great, asset to the Chiefs offense. I mean, Byron Pringle, McCole Hardman, all those guys really stepping up and playing big. Like, I think these two offenses have a lot of talent on both of their offenses, that it's going to be a really, really good game. And obviously it's the last game of the weekend, because it's by far the best game to put on for these playoffs. But I think this game, it's definitely different than week 5. It really is. I think this game is close. I personally think the Chiefs will pull it out, just because, obviously I'm a Chiefs fan. I want them to win this game. But again, if the Bills somehow pull out the victory against the Patriots, or not the Patriots, my bad, against the Chiefs, I really think that the Bills will win the Super Bowl. I really do. Because if the Chiefs beat the Bills, they're winning the Super Bowl. Like, these two teams by far have the most talent remaining, if you ask me. Like the Bengals, yeah, we know what they have. They're a young team. They struggled against the Raiders in the red zone, and you have a defense that is kind of, you can't really rely on a defense like that. But there's a lot of good teams. The Chiefs and the Bills, the two best teams. It's going to be a very, very good game. I hope Mahomes is able to just have a monster performance in this game. Throw 5-6 touchdowns. That'd be really, really nice. Then go into the championship round host another AFC Championship game, hopefully with the Titans losing. You know, I do think the Bengals will beat the Titans. But hopefully the Mahomes and the Chiefs will be able to host 4 straight AFC Championship games. That would be very, very awesome. But that is my preview of the Chiefs and the Bills. Sorry if this video is a little bit all over the place. I am on a bit of a time crunch this week with making videos, so some of these are not as well produced and as well as I want them to be. But these are just my thoughts on this game. And yeah, give me your thoughts of what you think of this game down below, and I'll see you in the next one.